Sticking with this game, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in Seattle trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. First quarter, here we go. Rodgers hits Robert Tonyan with the 54-yard strike. Aaron Rodgers fired up. Packers up 21-17 at the half, fourth quarter now. Seahawks down 4. Russell Wilson, after a shaky first 3, figures it out in the fourth. Ed Dixon for the touchdown. Seattle up 27-24. Next drive. Rodgers incomplete on 3rd and 2, and Mike McCarthy decides to punt despite only 4:20 left on the clock, with the Packers only having 1 timeout. Packers would never get the ball back. Mike Davis converts the first down, takes it to the 2-minute warning. Packers lose 27-24. They fall to 4-5-1. Here is the aforementioned Coach McCarthy on the decision not to go for it.
Obviously would have been a really bold move to go for it on 4th and 2 backed up at the 30. Did you give it any consideration?
I definitely, we had the injuries to Kenny Clark and Mike Daniels. So, yeah, it was definitely consideration there. But with the 1 timeout and then, ability to stop the clock at the 2 minutes. So we played the numbers, but we considered taking the time out there and going for it on 4th and 2.
Is there any hope left for this season?
Come on, Rod. What kind of question is that?
I don't know.
Come on, man.
Can't win on the road. What are you going to be able to do?
I don't even know how to answer that, Rob. Come on. What am I supposed to say? Of course there's hope. Of course we believe in each other. We're just going to take one galvanizing moment. So whether that's a speech or practice or something happens in the game, something's got to get this thing going. I thought we had moments tonight where that was the way we were going. The defense, a lot of injuries. Offensively, we lost Jimmy, but guys battled. So, nobody gave up hope. We just didn't play well enough when we had to play well enough.
All right, Mark, from what you saw, what do you think was the key? How would you break down what happened last night?
Well, one galvanizing moment, 4th down and 2, converted. There's your galvanizing moment right there. Yeah. That could have been your galvanizing moment. And that was it. There's what we used to call on the West Coast dragon, right? Drag slant.
Yes,
that's all they ran right there. Like 3-jet dragon. Let's go. It's wide
the
open.
3rd and 2.
The 3rd and 2, and you dirt it. But the bottom line is the thing that has been so impressive, and I've had the opportunity to call a couple of Seahawks games. This team is consistently under Pete Carroll improved. Regardless of all the different changes from a personnel standpoint, this is a different defense, but they have come together. They've consistently improved. And I think the biggest thing about the Seahawks is they have established their identity. And I think that is so important when you play football, to know who you are. We just talk about the Cowboys all the time, right? Are they gonna? Are they what? Are they?
Yes.
Will they run it?
Do they believe it?
Will Zeke get 25? There's we see them play really well one week, and the next week you're like, who are these guys? The Seahawks know exactly what the formula is, right? They are going to run the ball. They can control the tempo. Russell Wilson in that 4th quarter, man, how many great play actions, 6- and 7-man protections did you see? He's flagging the ball out here. He's running over here. He's set up. Fullback's running across, kicking out the outside, and they're throwing a crossing route, to lock it. It's stuff that takes time to develop, but they know exactly who they are, and they knew. 4-minute offense. They knew when they got that ball back at 4:20. They're like, we are going to cram it down your gullet, and there's nothing you can do about it. They know who they are.
Stink, in that 4 minutes, didn't you not know that Russell was going to run at one time to be able to get one of those touchdowns? I knew they were going to try to put it away. So you're talking about as far as identity?
Yeah.
No, we're going to do play action, but to be able to win this game compared to how Green Bay attacked it, and I couldn't believe McCarthy didn't go for it on 4th down. Since last year, about the middle to end of last season, we have seen unprecedented time. Yeah. NFL coaches, they have gotten them a set of, they've gotten some guts. Yeah. However you want to say it. They have gone for it. unconventional wisdom, what the paper says, go for it. They're starting to look, hey, listen, I'm going to start taking more chances. It led to Philadelphia. Doug Peterson, Ron Rivera's been Riverboat Ron. He's been doing it. Sean McVay. So now we get to the biggest moment in Green Bay season. Their coach decides that, hey, I got two of my key defenders out. This defense for the last 2 years, since the beginning of 2016, we have given up more points on the road than every team except two. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Cleveland Browns. I don't know what told him. He had no sheet that told him that I shouldn't go for it with those types of stats.
And the team you're playing, just on their previous drive, became the first team in 15 years to go for $150 on the ground in 7 straight games. You are going up against the most prolific rushing attack in football that, even though they're not winning every week, is hitting everybody over the head for at least 150 yards on the ground every single week.
So what numbers was he looking at?
He's making the numbers up.
Yes.
You called it getting a set of guts. I would say activating part of your brain. Just saying what gives me the best chance to win. Or even if you're not into the numbers, how about a more kind of more intangible question? What's my opponent hoping I do? What was Pete Carroll on that fourth down praying the Packers did?
Punt.
Please punt. Please punt. Punt the ball. Punt the ball. Trust your defense. You should trust your defense.
Right.
Maybe we won't run it. It is maddening. Listen, I get it. Rodgers missed that pass. You saw it get tipped. He said after the game it stuck in his hand, which maybe led to it getting tipped.
Okay.
Regardless, Rodgers in this football game completed 2 passes that flew in the air 50-plus yards. That hadn't happened this decade in the NFL. Rodgers was on fire, and he misses a pass, and you're like, well, now we're going to trust our defense with our season on the line. You trust
one timeout.
One timeout.
Right.
And it was, again, worst case scenario on that 4th and down. You don't pick it up. When you punt, you say, we believe we're forcing a 3 and out. If you go for it on 4th and you don't pick it up, if you force the 3 and out you believe you were forcing,
right.
Guess what? You're down 6.
You just have a couple more first downs you have to pick up.
And you're down 6, a touchdown still wins. At 3, a touchdown wins. At 6, a touchdown wins. It's unforgivable by Mike McCarthy.
So for years, there have been these quiet whispers that maybe Mike McCarthy isn't the best guy for this job. When you have the best player in football as your quarterback, and you are not either surrounding himself with great players or finding ways to win games or getting to the Super Bowl one time when you have Aaron Rodgers, some of those quiet whispers turn to growing speculation, which is what we're hearing now, that Mike McCarthy isn't going to last through this season.
At the end of the
season. Where do you stand on that? Would that be the right coaching move for this team?
I think it goes back to, and there's a lot of coaches that have this philosophy, after you've been at a place for X number of years, it's time. We all need at some point a fresh start. I mean, there's very few people, whether it's coaching or whether it's playing, that can start with one organization and finish with one organization. So sometimes your players need a different voice. You need a different way of looking at things. You just need to bring some juice into the organization. And I would say right now, you look at where they're at, it's inexcusable. Inexcusable to have Aaron Rodgers on your team and not to have participated in more than one Super Bowl. He is so damn good at everything. Like, how can you be in this position? And at that point, you have to look at yourself very critically and say, we haven't done enough for him.
And listen, I get it. There's a sliding doors moment against this very team, NFC Championship game a few years ago, up 12 of about 4 minutes left, and you blew it. That sucks. Like, maybe that wasn't on the head coach. They muff an onside kick. They don't get the toss in overtime. Things go against them. But you have had a decade to – how many teams in this decade have been to multiple Super Bowls with lesser quarterbacks? How many teams have been to at least one with lesser quarterbacks? I mean, Jim Harbaugh had 4 years in San Francisco with Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick and made as many Super Bowls and as many NFC Championship games as we've seen from the Packers in the last decade. Like, what's going on there? There isn't a defense for. So I understand that winning that Super Bowl buys you a lot of time. I think that time is running out here in about 6 weeks.
And Mike McCarthy, I think this is 13th year in Green Bay. And you bring up a great point as far as it's hard for a coach at a high level to continue that same message. Now, you have to realize, once you become a head coach in the NFL, you're not really going to a whole bunch of coaching clinics to be able to find out, how do I add to this? There are only a few guys, Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, guys keep evolving as coaches. So it's hard for a guy to get new messaging points. So typically it takes a change of scenery. It takes him going somewhere else, giving that message to other people. And Terry Bradshaw brought it up last night in the telecast, and all he believed stemmed from his sources that he had talked to came from that playoff game where they were up by 12, and McCarthy pulled the reins on Aaron Rodgers. Ever since then, they've had a tough relationship. Aaron Rodgers talked about this offseason, them changing coaches, them changing personnel. They've changed their philosophy as far as an organization, so I believe that they will, like Terry Bradshaw said, I believe they will change coach at the end of the season, and you can look for him to be one of the top candidates in Cleveland. John Dorsey with the Green Bay background, a lot of these general managers in this new NFL, they go with who they trust, not necessarily who they think is best, who they trust to be able to make decisions as far as them moving forward as a team, general manager and head coach moving forward at the same. So, yes, I believe he is going to be dismissed from Green Bay, but I can believe he'll be fired probably that first Monday after the season. On that Tuesday or Wednesday, he could be rolling into Cleveland.
You can be the right person to get Cleveland from A to B, but that doesn't mean you're the right person to get Green Bay from B to C. You know what I mean? Like, you can be the right person for a certain job where a team is in trying to get into contention, but not necessarily the right person to take a team that's in contention over the top into Super Bowl favorite. I think that's the place Mike McCarthy finds himself.
Sting, thanks for hanging out with us this week.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys.